You're watching Mainebiz Sunday, Maine's business news source.
What needs to happen for Maine's economy and its major industries to prosper is a perennial question in Maine state business community. And trust me, there are plenty of differing opinions. Well, in an effort to find an answer, Mike LeVert, Maine state economist, and Chuck Lawton, chief economist at Planning Decisions, Inc. in South Portland, decided to delve into the hard data and ask the same question to key decision makers in some of Maine's largest industries: pulp and paper, healthcare, tourism, and energy. The result is a six-part series called Working Knowledge, which is being published in Mainebiz. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is a terrific series. I've been reading it as we go along, learning a lot about those industry sectors. I'm really glad you're doing it. But let's start there. What was the genesis for this project? Chuck, tell us why you wanted to do this.
Well, I think originally Mike and John Doerr, the Department of Labor, had done an op-ed piece in the Maine Sunday Telegram about the need for labor training. And afterwards I called Mike and said, you know, that's very good. How about in any specific industry? Let's look at it more closely in particular industries. And so that's where we really took off on it.
Michael, why did you choose these four industries then? You could have them all. Why these four?
Well, these are four very important industries for Maine. Healthcare employs 100,000 people in Maine. Tourism, depending on how you define it, is right up there. Pulp and paper employs 8,000, but they're in some of the areas that need those jobs the most. And the energy industry, renewable energies, is one in which many people are sort of pinning the hopes on the future on. So the bottom line is these four industries are going to be critical as Maine emerges from the recession and as we return to prosperity.
Okay. One of the things, one of the quotes that I thought was really interesting, and I'm not sure which one of you said it, so somebody's going to have to take ownership here. You said in the article, no economic or business development strategy occurs in a vacuum. It plays out in the context of underlying changes in the economic landscape. What did you mean by that? First of all, who said it?
Well, I'll claim
You'll take it. What did that mean?
And, well, I think most exposure to economic activity, economic events in the news is sudden bursts of headlines about a crisis. A cannery closes, a paper mill closes, and people see it's terrible, but they don't see the context, where it fits into the overall trends. And what we wanted to do here was to try to take individual industries and set them into a broader context so that people could see things as they're changing from the inside. It's very organic, and people in the industry and the paper industry know day to day what's going on, what is the threat to the outside world. It looks like, gee, this is what I used to know 30 years ago. It's no longer true today. It's a big change. But for the people that go through it every day, it is an ongoing evolution. And so we wanted to try to take that inside view and make it the focus of the piece.
Good. Okay. Clearly you went into this with some kind of intended goals. I think one of the ones that you've stated was that you really want policymakers to take that inside view as well that you were just talking about. Do you think they'll do that? Do you think they'll read it? And get a subscription to Mainebiz, I hope. No, I'm kidding. Do you think they'll read it? And will this have an impact? Do you think that can have an impact on how policymakers look at decisions for economic development in particular for our state?
Well, I think some of the reactions we already had indicate that they are. And in particular, looking at industries in a new way. I've had a number of people talk to me about the Sappy paper mill that we spoke about in Westbrook. And I've said, here's a 100-year-old, more than 100-year-old business that's making cutting-edge new products, that's in the Olympics. And people say, I didn't have any idea that's what paper is. That
I'm one of those people that didn't know that until I read it. Yeah, it's interesting. Michael, I'm sure you guys went into this also with some assumptions, too. Were any of your assumptions, did you learn things that you didn't know? What new things did you learn that you went, what was the aha moment for you? Anything?
Well, I think any time you're talking to the people with a really inside knowledge, you're just amazed by how much thought and attention they're giving their business and their industry. And some of the businesses that we spoke to are ones that I don't think a lot of people have heard of or even know about. You know, it's the Sappy paper mill in Westbrook. As far removed from the traditional paper mill as you can get. I mean, they're in the fashion business in some ways. And then we interviewed some folks from Health Dialogue in Portland. Really innovative, exciting company. So those are very enlightening to me as I learned about them.
Let's drill down a little bit and talk about a couple of the industries in particular that you worked on, and we'll get a little more information about those. Pulp and paper. The real shift in what % of the jobs and wages and gross domestic product that pulp and paper used to play, and it's not playing now. A major 50% reductions, basically, in all of those areas, basically around that area, 40–50%. Talk to me about that, Mike, and why is that? What's the big change? What's happened in that 20 years?
Well, I think a few things. One is that the paper companies are under just a ton of cost pressures.
Okay.
There's a global market for pulp out there, a global market for paper. And then the other thing is that as they become more productive and more efficient, they can create the same amount of paper with fewer jobs. So those are two of the trends that are pushing down employment.
Okay. What are the kind of things, you were talking about some of the changes in the paper industry that outsiders may not know about. How are they viewing it from the inside? Talk to us about that.
Well, I think, number one, the perception of the industry as a giant monolith that takes trees and turns them into newsprint, toilet paper, paper towels, is something that the paper industry needs people to see it. It is a global industry, and the effects of the globalization over the last 25 years has been tremendous in the specialization within paper and the type of products, the type of species, the nature of ownership of land, the nature of harvesting to get the paper are not what most people grew up in Maine thinking of paper mills as, and that all of those require different levels of skill, both in production, forestry, and in marketing, and following the product all the way to the final consumer. And again, that's something that in the view too often held in Maine that economic development, the solution to the closing of the mill is, well, do something to reopen it and take us back to the way it was when my grandfather, well,
instead of looking at new ways to do it.
Right.
In particular, with the paper industry, it seemed like one of the things I learned from your article was the quality of the fiber is such here in Maine that offers opportunities and a strategic advantage that other places may not have. So that's interesting. I want to move on to healthcare. Jobs in Maine healthcare industries are projected to outpace jobs overall. That's a good thing. But man, it's just dramatic how that is such a growing sector. People will see on the graph that we're losing jobs at a tremendous rate, obviously, in 2008, 2009, and 2010 in particular. But they have been increasing in healthcare, and will continue. You're projecting that significantly above all others going forward. Why is that? Is it all in medical delivery services, or what are the new jobs going to be?
Well, I think there's two reasons why healthcare jobs are projected to continue to increase. One is just demographics. We're getting older. Older people need more care, and the other reason is technology. You know, there's continues to be improved technological advances and procedures. So those are the two big reasons.
We're going to have to wrap it there, but we are going to keep you around for our afterthought segment that's seen on the web, so we can talk a lot more about those sectors and also energy and tourism too. So I want to get your ideas on what you perceive is going to happen in the articles and the data, what it shows going forward. So thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Stay tuned. You can read Working Knowledge series in Mainebiz or online at Mainebiz website. And you can catch more of this discussion with Michael LeVert and Chuck Lawton in our exclusive Afterthought segment seen only on the web. Stick around.
Mainebiz Sunday is made possible in part by funding provided by the Finance Authority of Maine.